about it. So you have the floor. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, David Ednie. Welcome. I think you better introduce yourself and give the floor to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rene.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you and good afternoon. So adapt or die. It's quite a binary decision. But it's always been the case. We think this is just confronting us today with what's happening in technology, in particular with the cloud. But the decision to change and adapt to the future and the changes in the future has always been with us for the last 100 years, 150 years, from the beginning of time. There is nothing new in this choice we have to make to adapt to the changing new world of reality, or to not change and to choose the second best choice, which is to die. Or maybe it's a third best choice. So that's what I'd like to talk about, and let's start with what we know. We know that the world of IT is moving into the third stage, which we're calling digitalization. I like to call it digital disruption because it impacts every dimension of our lives. Our professional lives at work, but our personal lives, our home lives, and we probably see this digital disruption most on our children, because they're natives. They don't have all these dilemmas about, is it on my hard drive or is it over here? It's just there, and they want to use it when they want it. So a lot of times we think we're in this phase, but what we see is we're now getting to, because of digitalization, it's impacting business models for IT. Digital leadership, that's the new goal. It's not management leadership, it's leadership in the new digital world we're moving into. So let's just do a sanity check to make sure we're on track here. Rene mentioned that everybody in the room is a IT director or working in an IT department or an MIS, MIT, or a CIO. Is there anybody who's in that category here? Many of those things. So I'd like to take out my magic wand. This is David's magic wand. And I'd like to now make you all CIOs. And I'd like you all to have the mindset of a CIO and the CIO of tomorrow. That's one of the things we're going to be exploring together. What goes on in the brain and the thinking of a CIO to tomorrow? That's the question we should be trying to solve. And a big piece of it is digital business innovation. How do we help our employees, our organizations, find new forms of value so our companies, our employers, can compete in tomorrow's changing world against our company's competitors? So I want us to move our thinking from managing IT to becoming a strategic advantage to any new business. Digital disruption, we hear a lot about it. I've taken this from Accenture. It's a report they republished last year, and I think this is a very good way of starting at a high level to get an understanding of the definition. So what do they define digital disruption as? Capabilities and strategies that change the terms of competition and value via technology-enabled solutions. And everything that Rene mentioned about the mobile offers that you had through Into today, and adding on all those cloud-enabled IT services around it, that's exactly technology-enabled solutions. And adopting those and moving towards offering that performance, those business outcomes to our user population, that's where value is moving to. If we have a look again from this same Accenture report from late last year, they're measuring the level of technology maturity of different organizations, digital transformation where they are. And in the US, they say North America, 6% of enterprises have already completed this digital transformation. Okay, I take their word for it. But what's more interesting is, look, there's 46% who are still wrestling with it. They're aware of it, they're making steps to move in that direction. So this is happening big time everywhere. This is not something that's just an aberration. This is a whole industry-wide evolution transformation. Let's go to Europe, where we all are. Slightly lower in the number of companies that are measured by Accenture to have completed digital transformation, 3 versus 6. US is usually faster on these things, so I'm not surprised about that. But still, look at this, 42% of companies are in the process of determining their strategy to capture the benefits of digital transformation. So the question to you is, where is your organization on this chart? And second question, where should it be? But before we start drinking the Kool-Aid about the world's changing, let's all go digital, let's just take a little bit deeper look on this. So I did a bit of research in the last couple of days for you, and this is one article I found, The Cloud Goes Prime Time. And what they're saying is that at the end of 2016, 1 year from now, a third of the spending of IT budgets will be off premises or in the cloud. Does that map to what you're seeing in your business today? Same, similar, or even higher for the cloud? Who's looking at spending a third of their budget on cloud-based services? A bit more? What would you be expecting it to be now? Half. Very good. So we've got our best practice leader here of cloud transformation. Half his budget's going to the cloud. The other half that's not to the cloud, could I ask you where you're spending that? On-premise. And is that primarily to maintain existing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to have a part of the budget for maintaining legacy. But new is, I'm better going to the cloud. Is that also your experience over here?
A little bit less, I think. A little bit less.
A little bit less?
40% maybe moving to the cloud.
So it's a massive trend. And so what are the benefits? Why are you guys moving to the cloud, moving that big chunk of your budget over there? Why?
It's cost effective.
Cost effective.
And it's redundant, and it offers more stability than we can offer in our own data center.
You're a very pragmatic and I would say wise man. If we reason not about what our job is or what our job has been, which was doing all those things ourselves, we reason about the benefit, the business benefit we deliver to our customers, then that's exactly what they want to hear. For you, is that the same or something?
Always availability, redundancy,
Redundancy, flexibility,
flexibility, but always available.
and always available.
High availability.
In fact, you're outsourcing that responsibility to Microsoft through Rene, through Into. And that's a nice assurance that you've got someone the size of Microsoft managing all this stuff for you. And you just have to get on with them. Very good. Another example, cloud mainstream by 2019. This report comes from, I think, Cisco published this initially, and the whole transformation. So I want you to understand this is not just a specific small, this is a massive change we're looking at. And if we look 5 years in the future and we look backwards and say, yeah, but this was obvious. Why are we having this mental dilemma about it? Let's just understand it and move forward. Let's get more specific. I think this is interesting. If we talk about software as a service, 34% compound annual growth rate. So more than your current budget, 60%, a little bit more than yours as well. The trends are there and we've got the proof points in the room. My question to the rest of you, where are you on this transformation journey? Why? And we've got a couple of good reasons why. For SMBs, I'm guessing, please tell me, are most of your organizations described as small, medium-sized enterprises? How many are large enterprises? Small, medium?
We determine large above 500 users.
Okay, so you've got a few.
So that could be, no, it could be a specific question to ask.
Okay.
How many
So how many users do you currently, or you have in your organizations today? What would be a typical number for your business, sir? 100?
Yes.
That's already a good size small medium business, I would say. Who else is in the 100 to 500 range? Is everyone in that space? Anybody above 500? I'd like you to meet my friend. This is Tony from Microsoft. Anybody below 100 who's more in the startup space or using the Hollywood model? How many in yours?
Only
20, only 20. That's 20 who I bet are getting much more IT power through using cloud applications than if you could try and build that dedicated on-premise solution to support 20 people. So we're enabling them to have the same benefits that a 500 employee company would typically have. Good. Most cost effective, we had that flexibility, we had that easier and faster to deploy. So this gives us an interesting thing which gives us business agility. And ultimately that's a competitive differentiator. Now if you're 20 people it's a little bit easier to be agile, but if you're 100 or you're 500 it gets harder. So how can we give our employees those tools quickly and as they require them to get faster deployment, which means business. This one I like too. A lot of smaller companies, this is a big advantage. I call this the P factor, predictability. I know what it's going to cost me each month, and if I need more of it, I pay. If I need less of it, I pay less. I don't have to invest and hope that I'll get the return on investment over the coming years based on the applications being used by my organization. And this is the eye test. Does anyone need any help with this one? This is quite detailed. But I want you to notice a couple of things. Firstly, over the last 24 months, it's primarily blue is dominating, which is on-premise. Not surprising, that's where we've come from. But the cloud-based services are up there and well represented. If we flip it over to what the intentions are, planned for the next 12 months, we see the cloud moving forward greater in some areas, but we see a new colour coming in here, which is somewhere up, not sure. So we're seeing people starting to be unsure. They're asking the question. Before it was yes or no, now say it was no, but I'm not yet yes, but I'm certainly not sure. That's a good place to be, because that means we're open-minded. We're assessing our options. If we say it's this or this, the chances of being wrong are quite high because there's only two possibilities. If we say we're open-minded, we're assessing it, then we're being receptive or open to the future. Collaboration. I wanted to just have a quick look here because I think this is where the future is, and Tony and I were talking before the sessions today, and we're talking about Microsoft's history from the beginning of its existence. It's been a leader, and still is, in productivity. Personal productivity. The PC is a productivity machine. But I wonder if productivity is at the end of what it can do for people. How much more productive can we make people or give them tools to be more productive? I wonder if we're not entering a new phase, which I would like to call team productivity or group productivity. And we use another name for that, collaboration. And I think that's where the next biggest opportunity is. The cloud is a collaboration enablement platform. It enables enterprise collaboration. That's the benefit of the cloud. And that's why we can see it going 50% more is going straight to a solution from the cloud. And Microsoft's got a lot of good things to show you there. So I think that's a sweet spot for getting better. Your fixed cost for your employee salary bill doesn't go up. But if you can make those people more productive, more effective, and able to produce more because they're happier to use the cloud-based services that they perhaps use at home, that's a win-win-win. But this all sounds too good. Let's be cautious. What about the end user? They're getting overwhelmed with all this new possibility of the cloud. Let's just check on them. What does cloud end user adoption look like? Now, I'm sure this doesn't apply to anybody in this room or to any of your organizations. But do you know people who aren't here today who react this way to what the cloud offers? I'm sure you do. So what is our job as CIOs? Is to take our users by the hand and lead them to the promised land, the cloud, and all those rich tools and services and applications that they can have access to. A lot of people say, change, but not to me, I know. And I struggle with that because every day if we look outside, everything's changing. Yet for some reason, there's something the way we're hardwired to think that none of that applies to me. I have to be exactly as I was yesterday. Well, good luck with that one because that's an accelerated path to becoming irrelevant in tomorrow's world. And I wish that on nobody. So I tell people, let's just wake up and smell the coffee and smell it big time. Change is difficult. Who would agree change is difficult? Good, you're all honest. Who would say they're really good at change? They're a change agent. They love change, they embrace change. Do we have any of those people here today? I see someone smiling. Are you volunteering? I'll take that as a yes. So, this is not manipulative, is it? So, as our resident change expert, could you help us with this question? When was the last time that you did something for the first time?
Yesterday.
Good answer. Because that's the definition of change. Often we say, yeah, I'm really good with change, and you ask them that killer question. Well, okay, great. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Oh, 5 years ago I think I did something. So actually we mislead ourselves. We think we're good with change, and when we look for proof points, we struggle to find it. But tell us what you did yesterday.
I tried to change to an Android phone instead of iPhone.
Well, you're halfway where you need to be.
I want to go to Microsoft.
I can see the strategy. This is sort of like climbing a mountain. This is a restaurant here, and then you go on to the summit. I like to think. Thank you. So change is difficult. But what are the choices? Here's the other choice, which we forget to list up there. Not changing is fatal. The classic was the dinosaur. How many dinosaurs did you see on the way in here today? Let's look to the enterprise world. Look what happened to Kodak. Kodak were born in, they invented the whole camera home photos industry. They pioneered film. They invented the first digital camera. But they're unable to capture it as a corporate culture to move their business to be successful in the new post-digitally disrupted world of digital photography. And they failed and they disappeared because they were unable. Change was difficult, but I rest my case. And is there anyone in this world who wants to become the Kodak of tomorrow? Good. In the right room. So there's one thing that is certain about the future, and it's this. Sticking to the status quo will grow increasingly expensive. If we said the world is changing, everything's changing, and we are not going to change, in the beginning we can resist it, but as that change becomes more and more, the effort or expense or financial investment to protect our fixed position when the world is changing becomes more and more difficult to support over time. And this is what we have to think about when we're thinking about the cloud as CIOs. Are we defending where we were? Are we defending the past? Because we know what it was and that's the way it always was, so let's just leave it alone, thank you so much. Or are we saying, well listen, now we've got all these new possibilities, let's put this into suspension, let's go over here and see what makes sense in this new environment. And this is about change, but also about how we react to change at the personal level. Safe. Doing the low-cost thing, safe is in fact the riskiest place to be. When there's massive disruptive change, playing safe is the most dangerous strategy. That's rather counterproductive, counter-logical in our thinking, don't you find? So let me ask the question to you as a group. How many of you are playing it safe at the moment? Maybe that's actually not the safe thing to do. If we say the cloud disrupts everything, then safe becomes dangerous, and dangerous becomes safe. So I'd like to give you a toolkit of thinking, and I'd like to call this hybrid, because the proposition we've been talking about so far is on-premises, business as usual, the status quo, or the cloud, totally different, one or the other, binary positions. And of course, it's never that binary. It's actually a continuum of possibilities, and I'd like to use the word hybrid. Now, I know Tony Artem is going to give us a lot more around hybrid at the real technical, operational level. I want to use this more as a thinking model, hybrid toolkit, which is what makes sense that we keep here in our existing on-prem, what makes sense that we take from the cloud new, and then how do we work the two together? And we are becoming agnostic to the technology, but diagnostic to the business problem we're trying to solve. That's where value resides for our employers, for our companies, for our organizations. The word cloud is misused and overused and abused, and I'd like to extend that a little bit further. Let me ask the group a question. Who thinks that the most important letter in the word cloud is the last letter, the D? Do we have any voters for D being the most important letter? I can see you going, this guy's mad. Just bear with me, bear with me. Who thinks D is most important? Do we have any people who would like to take a vote on D? Rene's smiling, he's not sure, but he's smiling, that's a good sign. Any takers for D? Come on, someone. You're only young ones. Thank you, sir. You were first. Good. We've got at least one person who says a D. Let's investigate what does D stand for with the cloud. And I think it's delivery. When we talk about cloud, what do we think about most? Well, instead of being delivered on premise back over here with something that's vibrating and generating heat and lights are flashing, which we understand and we feel good because we can touch it. Now it's coming from somewhere we don't really know where. Is it a data center on the moon? Is it the nebulous? Is it coming from Ireland? Is it coming from the US? Is it coming from downtown Amsterdam? Is it coming from Schiphol Airport? But we're thinking about how it's delivered. Would you agree? Where's my D? Is that what you think about with the cloud?
No, data.
Tell us what you think about.
Data.
That's
Data.
Data. A better answer than mine. I'm going to keep data from now on. And it's how the data is delivered.
Yeah.
We agree. My new friend. So, what did we say? It's about delivery and deployment. data is delivered and deployed. But that undervalues everything the cloud really offers. I want us to now, so we had 2 voters for D, therefore, according to my mathematics, 74 people should also be therefore voting for C as the most. If they didn't vote here, you must vote here, right? Do we have any non-voters in the room? So, C. Who voted for C being the most important letter in cloud? Tim. Tim's looking confused. I've only met Tim today, but I think he always looks confused. No. What does C mean for you, Tim? Now, Tim, by the way, let me show you this. He showed me that I was most impressed. Tim wrote this book, which is so good he's written it in Dutch. This is a sign of intellectual superiority, which means also I can understand nothing except for the pictures. But there's some really interesting stuff here, and I would encourage you to ask Tim very nicely for a copy of this book while you're here today. C stands for, oh, I haven't finished my story. These things, delivery and deployment, that's a race to the bottom on price. You can deliver it cheaper, you can deliver it faster. It's a race to the bottom on price. It's a race you don't want to win. If we go over to the C, it's all about enabling collaboration. It's all about letting people be more creative with the tools we can provide from the cloud. It's all about helping our people to co-create, work as teams together to create better solutions. Many minds are better than one. The wisdom of crowds. It's about being able to serve our customers, your customers, better. It's all about changing the culture of our organisations to make it more purpose-ready for the post-digitally disrupted world. And that's all about change. That's what the cloud has as potential. And value is at this end. This is around becoming more economical, around operational effectiveness. And I'm not saying we don't want it, we do, but that's only a piece of what's available to have. If we got here, we can go to business transformation. That's where the sweet spot is for your employers, for your organisations. That's the piece of value you can bring now as CIOs to your business, helping your business to transform, to be ready and better able to serve tomorrow's digitally disrupted customers. So it's not so much about the how, but that's important. And Tony afterwards is going to, after coffee, is going to talk a lot more about the how of the cloud. And I've seen part of his presentation and it's excellent. But it only makes sense to have a how if we have a why first. So I want to give you some thinking around the why of the cloud. Why change? And it's to do with what it enables, which is business transformation. So we talked about productivity and how much more can we make our people more productive? We're probably overloading them already. They're probably feeling they're burned out, they're frazzled, they're underloved and underpaid and overworked. Does anyone have anybody in their organisations like this? Only those people in the room today. So how do we move to the blue ocean, move to an uncontested market space to be able to resolve this problem? Well, let's have a look at workplace. Now, Rene mentioned online workspaces. I'm calling them digital, same thing. But there's a transformation, a revolution going on here. The industrial age, or the Stone Age, was all about command and control, the old world of working and the old world of on-premise solutions to support that organisational model, that organisational culture. The cloud is all about the age of digital working practices, collaborative and adaptive. And the adaptive is that thing that helps us navigate change. It's not fixed, it's not set into, it moves based on what the external requirements are calling for. And that's what the cloud offers. And the biggest one in my mind is this: collaborative to help problems being solved by working in larger diverse organisations, groups. So we go from the old world to this new multiple device, multiple operating system, multiple people with their preferences. We're going to talk about shadow IT. This is why shadow IT happens, because IT can't deliver this diverse IT experience. And the key to all this is right here: cloud. And the best cloud comes from Microsoft. Can you see the rainbow here? That's the opportunity. Microsoft through Into can help you have the rainbow in your organizations. Here's 3 rainbows. And I call these different horizons of thinking. This is the key to hybrid thinking. We have Horizon 1, which is very operational. That's the next 0 to 6 months. So it's very specific, it's very focused, it's very, what is the best way to explain it? It's very short-term operational concrete. The next level is 6 to 12 months, and this is typically a business planning cycle. Over the next 12 months we're going to do these things, that's that sort of vision. But if we go up to the Horizon 3, this is now more of a strategic view. Where do we need to be in 12 months, in 24 months, in 3 years from now? How do we enable ourselves to be ready for the future? Serially successful people and entrepreneurs flip in their brain from one horizon to another without even thinking about it. They're trying to solve 3 independent but parallel problems. This works in short term, but will that limit my possibility in the future? This is good here, but will this help me make money tomorrow? It's the ability to get a consolidation between the 3 timescales that is the key to success. And the cloud enables us to do that. Because once we go to the cloud, we leave all these options open as we use whatever technology or application solution or tool we've decided it is. So if we can do that right, so 3 models, one is the short term, the mid term, and the long term. And serially successful companies have a really good dynamic balance between those 3 tools for anticipating the future and change. So let me ask the group, who would say they are in their business today dominant in Horizon 1? Funny, nobody. Good. So that means 100% must be voting here and here. How many more or less looking everything Horizon 2? Renee, good. And over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many are keeping part of their brain, 15%, to keep an eye out what's coming further out? Who people? Good. So guess what? You're doing this already. We've just put a label on it. But serially successful people do it in a structured way. They can flip and they can check out, this is great here, does it work here, does it work here? We've got to get it something that works in all areas. Being able to anticipate the next coming trend, but not being able to survive until we get there ain't going to help us. Being able to be really successful here and not being able to navigate the next change is going to limit it. So, some ideas there. So if we can get all this right, if we can embrace the cloud and all that potential and liberate business transformation in our organizations, what would be the perfect picture of success, a picture of utopia or nirvana? What would that look like for you? I can see someone smiling. That means usually they see something. What do you see?
But I see more productivity.
More productivity. Is the glutton for punishment this one? Yes. Okay, so hold that idea. If we have more productivity, we get more done. We've got 2 choices. We can go home early. Not bad idea. Or we can just get more done, get more done. If you were going to use that extra productivity to have a better free time, what would you be doing with your free time?
I think we are going to expand our business with the same people. So we are growing the business with the same people.
So you'll be able to grow the business faster. Is anyone doesn't want to grow their business faster? This is a pretty compelling argument. So here's my idea. If we can grow our business faster, and because it's all in the cloud, it's almost working by itself, we've got a new challenge to manage. What are we going to do with our free time? It's all in the cloud, it's all working. So, if we have unlimited free time, what are you going to do with your free time? He's never been asked this question before, which is normal. It's not. While you're working that, has anybody else got an idea of what they would like to do? If everything was possible, there were no constraints in life because cloud had solved all our problems. You're getting your salary, you've got to go to the bank and get your check once a month. That's the hard part, okay? Life's not perfect.
I do more city trips, right?
Sorry?
I do more city trips.
More city trips?
Yeah, that's nice.
Visiting other countries?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a traveller here. Who else would like to travel with their free time now? Okay, where are you going to travel to? Everywhere. Okay. Let's imagine now it's like a permanent holiday. Where's the ideal place for you? Where is paradise for a holiday for you?
Still looking.
Sorry?
Still looking.
Didn't hear you?
Still looking.
Are you still looking at the perfect place? Good, I like keeping an open mind. So where would be the first test point of a perfect holiday for you?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Good. Hold that idea. It's not the one I'm looking for. When you go on a holiday, what's a perfect holiday for you? Are you summer or are you winter? Are you water or skiing? Who's summer? Ah, nearly everybody. Especially with winter coming, I understand that. Okay, so when it's summer and there's water, where do you go?
Beach.
The beach. Marcus went. We're back to Microsoft. I rest my case. Beach. Let's see if he's right. Uh-oh. We're doing something. Ah! A little bit of suspense, but mainly for me. And here's the good news. You get to take your partner of choice to the beach. And I'm available. And why is it enabled? Because of the clouds.
Is this Australia?
This is not Australia. But Australia's coming. Be patient. Okay, so that's if we get it right. That's our picture of paradise or the future perfect world, or what I want you to have a label of optimizing, capturing the opportunity, the potential of the cloud. That's the beach. And I want you to discover for your organizations what is your beach, your image of success for your businesses. But what if we get it wrong? That was quick. We get it wrong. Life's quite brutal if we get it wrong. We go here. Think of Kodak. Doesn't happen straight away, but it's a fairly well documented one-way trip. And there's no coming back, they tell you. And when you're dead, it's for a long time. There's a different way of saying this, a politically correct way of saying this. It's called becoming irrelevant to tomorrow's customers or tomorrow's users. So if you're CIO and you're offering them some old, antiquated CRM system that's on premise and unattractive and difficult to use, and you can't use it unless you're in the office, and it doesn't work very well and the experience is very poor, your employees are going to be beating a path to go to your competitor where they've got whatever is the latest cloud-based enabled CRM system. Point one. Point two, if you're trying to recruit tomorrow's engaged Generation C, and Tony's going to talk to us more about these guys, the thumb-enabled next generation of workforce. Generation Y or millennials. By the way, do you know how to pick a millennial? Anyone got a child 17 to 25? Here's a story. A neighbour of mine was trying to work out if his daughter, who was 17, was a Generation Y, a millennial. So he thought, I know that if they do things with their thumb, they're a millennial, and if they do things with their digit, like typing like I would, then they're not. So he invented this little test, and he said, asked his neighbour to invite his daughter to their place, and he said, I'll hide in the front yard behind a tree, and when my daughter is at the doorbell, if she rings the doorbell with her thumb, I'll know she's Generation Y, and if she uses a finger, I'll know she's not. Great plan, right? Up here for thinking. So, neighbour calls, she goes round and she's at the front door and he's hiding behind a little bush and he's watching like, I'm gonna know. And she's about, and she takes her phone and she says, I'm downstairs, let me in. Generation Y. Doorbells. I wouldn't be investing in that business anymore. Doorbells, like tyres on the internet. Tyre manufacturers died in 1990. So this is the choice. Now let me ask the room, this is a room of over-intelligent people, how many people prefer the beach and how many people prefer the graveyard? We laugh, but the choice is yours. And some people, for whatever reasons, whether it's conscious or unconscious, will choose the graveyard. Don't be one of them. Don't let your organisation be one. Adopting the cloud to get the business benefits, to get the transformational benefits is the key. So, the status quo is not a change strategy. We cannot keep doing what we always did and expect change and a different outcome. Einstein's called it the theory of, what did he call it? Insanity. Theory of insanity. He said, the theory of insanity is repeating identically the same thing but expecting a different outcome. Pretty valid, I think I can understand that. How many of you are at work repeating exactly the same thing but expecting a different outcome. Nobody in this room. Back at the office, colleagues, friends, we have to go against that. So change is the key, but there's one thing about change, it's when. Some people want to wait till they have to change, then you're reacting to change, and if you're reacting to something, you're not driving it, you're not leading it. You don't have your destiny in your control, somebody else does. So my rule, my message to you is this: change before you have to change. Embrace change, lead on change. That's where value is created. While your competitors, while your other players in the industry are struggling, you're already ahead and away on the new dynamic. Question? No. Take your picture. So, what is the importance here of avoiding the status quo? It means making decisions, strategic choices now, because as this picture shows, decisions are front-end loaded in time. Where we're going to end up is decided right today, depending on what gating point we're looking. So we can't wait till 2 years later or 3 years later. It's too late. Decisions that will impact where we end up are being made today. So adoption decisions are forward-loaded in time. And after that, your trajectory is partially fixed. So bring forward your decisions on adoption of cloud services and moving to the new digitally disrupted world, rather than playing it safe. Safe is a dangerous place to be. Now, when I work with groups, I see two sorts of thinking, which I call delusional thinking. People say, yeah, I see this, but they see it in a way that justifies keeping doing what they're doing. And the first delusional one is what I call irrational complacency. Now, I'm sure this doesn't apply to anybody in this room, but see if you know someone at your office that has this view of the world. Life's good. Life's good right up until the train is about here, and it gets very bad. Or what about those people who are obsessed with short-term planning? Often this comes from the financial part of the business. Yeah, the numbers are good, but we can't quite see what's going to be driving the numbers for tomorrow. It looks like this, I believe. Remember I said the cost of change gets increasingly difficult to maintain as we get closer. Well, you can see the cost of continuing this is a non-option. So why? It's all to do with our thinking. We have all the new technology we can think of. Everything that's coming out with cloud. But if we're using the same old thinking, we get a fail. So the question becomes, how do we challenge, test, validate or revalidate our thinking? How many of you think about how you think? Good. Tell us, what do you come up with when you think about what you think? Yes?
Well,
Yes, please.
Well, I think I tend to stick with old patterns.
You think about technical patterns.
About old brain patterns.
Brain patterns, okay.
Yeah. New ways of thinking are hard to achieve.
But isn't it interesting? We're challenging, or we're trying to learn more about the way we think.
Yeah.
That's the next frontier, the cloud at the IT side, but what goes on between the 2 ears is still an unknown science, an emerging body of information. Fabulous. So the more we can externalize the way we think to understand it, to analyze it, to revalidate it, the more we can then be sure we're becoming objective to a change and an adaptive change. So have you heard the expression, think outside the box? So if I say you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, between 9 o'clock and 9:15, would you please think outside the box? What are you going to do? Wow. Okay, where do I start? Think outside the box, book, page 351. That's a bugger of a question, isn't it? Because everyone understands it, but how do you do it? So luckily I've got the answer for you. The first thing is, let's get inside the box to see what it's like to understand the situation. And if we get inside the box, what do we get to? The cloud. Funny about that, isn't it? So when I say to people, what is your IT strategy? Looking for the bigger conversation about, oh, I'm not going to upgrade these 3 servers from this rev of something to this rev of something. I'm not looking for I'm trying to look for the big picture, the big visionary view of IT evolution. often when I ask this question, you know what I get? Something that looks like this. Now there's a good news, bad news. The good news is
You're on the beat.
they're already at the beach. Well done, yes. One of them's a ventriloquist. Okay. Yeah, already at the beach, but here I can save you some effort because this is actually a photo of me, and there's nothing to find there. I have looked, and I can assure you it is a waste of time. Much better to look this way. Peter Drucker said it this way. He said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence, which is where we are with the cloud, digital disruption, is not the turbulence, it's to act with yesterday's logic. So we've got the future here, and we're still applying the way we used to think way back here. Hence, that little mathematical formula, old thinking multiplied by new technology equals fail. We sort of have a closed mind. Here's a great example of invisibly making an open system closed. We're in fact all prisoners of the past. Unless we challenge ourselves, we just accept whatever happened to us in the past, and that becomes reality, and we just keep incrementally, day at a time, moving that reality in the past into the future, hoping it's just as applicable tomorrow as it was in the past, which usually is not the case, unless we have true linear stability from one day to the next, which perhaps for the last 50 years after the Second World War, we had a period of very, very continual linear change. But now we have disruptive, explosive, almost chaos. And we need a different mindset to deal with chaos as opposed to linear, projectable, anticipatable change. So, are you prisoners of the past? Let me ask you, is there anyone in this room who has studied elephants? Nobody? Unusual. Normally I have 4 or 5 people who study elephants. It doesn't matter. Do you believe in the intelligence and wisdom of crowds? So let me ask the collective intelligence of the room, why is it the elephant, the strongest animal known to man, doesn't just break this chain and walk away? Who would like to give me the elephant's reasoning on this?
It's probably conditioned that he will be punished if he breaks away.
Exactly, the key word condition. Condition. So, when an elephant was 6 months old, it was put on the chain, and it tried to break the chain and walk away. And I don't know how many times an elephant tries before it says, I'm not stupid, I've learned something. And when I learn, an elephant always remembers, right? I know this chain can't be broken. I never need to waste my time relearning this exercise. I know. 36 years later, the elephant is this big and could break the chain like that, but it's been constrained by what it was conditioned to learn 36 years ago. So it is a victim of its beliefs. So here's my challenge to each and every one of you in the room. Tomorrow morning, when you're in the bathroom, I want you to look in the mirror and say, when was the last time I was guilty of thinking like an elephant? That's the way we test our thinking, to revalidate it's still purpose-built for tomorrow and the future. So we want to have new glasses to see that new opportunity of the cloud and to be open, receptive and non-judgmental and unbiased about how we could capture those business benefits for our organisation. We need to actually think like children. It's a discovery process. What can the cloud do? It's sort of feeling your way around it. Oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. It's a self-discovery, and we need a different way of looking at the world and a different approach to going through a discovery process as opposed to, I know the answer, and it's not the cloud. And there's one thing that's been a game changer that helped us with this discovery process, and that's this. It's what I call App Store thinking. The mobile devices, tablets and phones, have changed the way we adopt technology because there's no downside. We go to the App Store, we find, oh, I don't know what it does, but I don't need to know. I'll download it, I'll try it, I'll play with it. If I like it, I'll use it, and if I don't like it. So the resistance is zero to trying new technology. So I want you to think for your organizations, how can I have an App Store mindset to give my people these new tools and applications and capabilities from the cloud that may allow them to do a better job, to have more fun, to be more successful, to enjoy and to be more productive, individually and as a group. So I would encourage you all to think about the change of the cloud in terms of having App Store thinking. Compete for the future, not just the present. A lot of us don't think about what it's going to be tomorrow. We're just trying to win today, but today's battles are over. We've got to be making sure we're playing to win tomorrow's battles. App Store thinking will allow us to do that, so we can be ready to ride the next wave. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Who's heard that before? This room's doing better than this side. I don't know, I have to work in this group. Now this is good news, bad news. First of all, I've got some scientifically exciting news to share with you to say this is no longer true. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And that'll be, if it's for me, tell them I'm busy. Here's the proof. You can teach an old dog new tricks. This is my photo. This is Renee asked for Australia. This is St Kilda Beach, Melbourne, Australia. And next Thursday, Friday, I will be there. True story. One piece of information that I didn't tell you is that there was a photographer for the daily newspaper there taking his picture. I snuck up behind him and I took the same picture, but it is my picture. But a dog on a skateboard. So you can, by the way, you can tell this is Australia. Have a look at the suntan strategy on this dude over here. I apologise collectively for the whole of the Australian population. So if we apply old dog new trick thinking to ourselves, we are no longer VP of IT solutions or CIO. We need to cross that out and we need to read ourselves a new label, and I would suggest we call ourselves VP of change. Because we're providing those cloud-based tools and services that allow our organisation to do things differently and more effectively, and therefore to be more adaptable and to change. And if we want to go one step further than that, if you really want to challenge the value you personally bring to your organisation, we go from there to how do we serve our company's customers better? That's why we have IT. So we become VP of customer success because we're enabling the technology for our people, our personnel, our employees to better serve our customers. So it's time to recognise that our thinking has expired and we need to have a new mindset, a new way of thinking about the future. And it's no longer just business as usual, the status quo. I would recommend nobody would go back to the past. Here's the key, but it's not a linear, we've got to make changes. It is an off-ramp to the new future. The rate of change in business today really puts you at a disadvantage if you make any long-term investments in anything. Now that's got to be the strongest statement to support cloud, which is totally flexible. You buy what you need, you enable it, you disable it, you downgrade it, you upgrade it. It avoids that whole making long-term investment calls. That's what the outcome of this business chaos we talked about is, and that's why the cloud lets you address it. So let's reset our thinking. Digital transformation allows you, as CIOs in your companies, to build a more agile business. And it's agility that is the key to success to tomorrow. We can't anticipate the future, it's changing too much. The only way we can be more able to get to where we need to be is becoming more agile. In the old world, we say we need to be here in 37 months, we go straight there. Today, we don't know where it's going to be, so the key success factor becomes our ability to adapt, to navigate, and to be agile. A more agile business means a modern mobile workforce, and this is where Intu comes into the picture because this is what they deliver. A modern mobile workforce means a fully digital workforce, and a fully digital workplace, and a fully digital workplace means digital transformation of the existing workplace. So that's the business you are enabling. You are CIOs, you are enabling digital transformation of your workplaces, of your employees, so that they can be more successful, more productive, individually and collectively through collaboration, to become more agile so that you can better serve your company's customers tomorrow. So far so good. Anybody want to ask a question, disagree, make a comment? This is a good
Try
time.
to reach you.
If you'd like to take the call, I'll just ask for all this in English. Okay, so 5 points I'd like to develop in the remaining time, which is 15 minutes. Shadow IT, why shadow IT? Focus on business outcomes, create hybrid mindset, the role of tomorrow's CIO, what I believe, and then building a culture of change, because that's the key to being adaptable, to being agile. So, first one, why shadow IT? Is shadow IT a problem for anyone in the room today? Good. Tell us why.
Yeah, you can control it. It's not on your side. You put documents everywhere, but not on your own network.
So you lose control.
Yeah.
Now that's okay if we have total confidence in our people that they'll always do the right thing and their intentions are good. But even with the best intentions, bad things can happen. Loss of control. Anybody else? Shadow IT, what's the key challenges? Everybody agrees. Okay. Shadow IT, it's when your employees solve their problems themselves and go off and use third-party products and non-standardized, what's the right word?
Quality control.
Thank you, quality control, non-catalogued services. And loss of control, here it is. If this is you, you're losing that visibility and control of everything. You can take that personally, or you can think from your company's point of view. Wait, our company's out of control because they employ in marketing, they may just share all our competitive information with somebody who shares it on to our competitor. So the control actually can have a strategic potential implication. Strategic change. This is my photo. This is from Johannesburg, South Africa. This is the old world, and you know where that's going to? The trash dump. To make way for the cloud. So if our job is to try and stop that leaving or stop it getting to the rubbish dump or protecting the past, we're fighting a losing battle. Tomorrow's workplace, what does it look like? I think it looks quite different to what we imagine. This is what I think tomorrow's workplace looks like. See if you agree with me. More and more. Tomorrow's office worker, what do they look like? Tell me if this is what your tomorrow's office worker looks like for your organisation.
You do it everywhere. So
You're working everywhere,
you
yes.
are.
So tomorrow's office worker, he looks like this. Smart dude, huh? Doesn't matter where he is, he's contributing to the collective collaboration of wisdom of crowds. He's contributing to the output of your organisation. And it's the technology of the cloud that allows us to capture everything up here and leverage it across the business. And then mobile. Tomorrow's mobile worker, what does he look like? Well, here's one. But this is interesting because this is generational now. The cloud brings together all generations. We talked earlier about Generation Y, these guys. But you know what? That's not a very useful segmentation model when we talk about cloud because it's based on age. This guy may be connected all the time. He's behaving like a Generation Y. So I think a better model is Generation C. And I'd like you to take that away as an idea from today. Generation C, generation connected. It's independent of age. It's the behavior that's important, not the age that's important. And the cloud enables Generation C, independent of age, independent of where they are, of what they're doing, to be working together. And that's how you get effectiveness and productivity from your people, because you get them to work when they're not physically in the office. So how do you eliminate shadow IT? Where's my shadow IT guy? How do you eliminate it? Shoot them?
Yes, to upgrade your own stuff.
You offer some of the things that they're looking for so that they will get it from you instead of trying to solve the problems themselves. Exactly. So I put it this way. Give them access to the business and productivity applications and tools that they choose to use. It's all about giving them the choice instead of us deciding for them. They're not going to go and find a solution themselves unless they have to because they're not happy with what's supplied. So as long as we map to their preference or their choice, they're going to be good. So that means we've got to think differently. We don't control anymore. they control. We've got to make sure that we have the app store mindset to be able to enable whatever it is that they want to be using to be successful for our company. So, game changer number one, control moves to empowering employees, and I think that's exactly your words from the start, Renee. It's not about us controlling, it's about us giving the tools and applications and services to our employees so they are empowered, so they can do a better job for our businesses. Point number two, it's not about the what and the how. That's all the details, it's about the why. And we've got to get focused on why we're doing this, and that is for business agility, which allows us to be able to be more adaptable to serve tomorrow's changing customers for our companies. And that means we've got to be selling results. When we're putting IT solutions forward, we've got to be saying, this is the business benefits you'll get from it, and we've got to be making those to the business owner, to the marketing department, to the sales organisation, to HR. These are the results you get from our IT solution. Instead of saying, this is how we'll deliver it. We're selling the why. So IT solutions moves to business outcomes, game changer number two. How many people are already having those business outcome discussions in their organisations today? Good. 1.5. So that's what your management wants to hear. Okay, but what will that do for my business? How will that help my people to be better at sales, to be better at marketing, to find new customers, to grow, to make our customers more satisfied with their services? That's what they're looking for. Create a hybrid mindset. This is very much about shifting our thinking and managing disruptive change. We all have, by default, legacy thinking. If we don't challenge it, it's whatever it was when we started thinking about it way back here in time. We've never challenged it, it just keeps moving every day forward with us. We've got to externalise it, validate it, check it, and make sure it's still correct. We're all wedded to the past. I read an article interesting the other day. It said, in a meeting, unless you have two people who are under 30 years old in the meeting, you're only going to get what you've always had because everyone else in the room is wedded to the past. So we talk about Generation Y, that's where we need those people who can have a fresh view and not be constrained by whatever it used to be in the past and say, well, let's look today, what's available, how can we solve the problem? And that's all about hybrid. And hybrid is not where we are today, where we want to move towards, and it's a game changer ahead. Because changes happen, we don't work in sausage factories anymore, in case you didn't know. But if we look at our thinking, we're actually implicitly solving for sausage factory problems. Let me give you an example. This is what we think the office looks like. Well, maybe it did 100 years ago, but ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't look like that anymore. So if we're building solutions to deliver this, that's great, but this is not the problem anymore. That's the problem that it was. We're now trying to solve for this. And this doesn't equate to this anywhere near as well. But that's not the end game. Actually, we're trying to, reality tomorrow is this. And the key here are these things. We want to be able to offer total connectivity, total use of the whole resources of the organisation at whatever slice in time our employees are at, whether it be the weekend, whether it's Sunday after a sporting event. We have to be able to let them do whatever they want on their terms. And this is not purpose-built to deliver this, but the cloud is. Okay, so change before you have to change. That's the message. If we don't check ourselves, implicitly this is what we're thinking we're trying to solve for. How many of you would agree with that? If we don't challenge ourselves, if we aren't honest with ourselves, our thinking goes here. That is not the problem we're trying to solve anymore. It's a smartphone with sporting shoes. So it's a journey to the cloud. It goes back to Renee's opening points. We have to be that driver of change, that ambassador of change, helping our organisation move towards a new future of the cloud. Game changer number 3, on-prem moves to the cloud, or more correctly, hybrid cloud. Good, 2 more and we're done. The role of tomorrow's CIO. I think this is interesting, as everybody in this room is now a CIO. I think this is a great question. Well, the first one is anticipating change, and here's a great example of not anticipating change. But how many of us, we laugh, and how many of us actually doing this right now, today? Unintentional. This is what we want. agility. And the cloud is an agility enabler. We want adaptability. We want to be able to move when it's the appropriate time to make change. We want to have extreme adaptability. I like this one. I really struggle with this photo. I had to get out of the car to take it. This is in California. How do you do it? Oh, it didn't work. I'm going to go back. No, I'm not going to go back. I'm using very high density pictures, and they're so high density they're completely impossible to see through. Okay. This is a tricky one. This is Washington, DC. At a certain time of the day, you can only go one way that way. At another time of the day, you can only go... Now, if you're approaching 6 feet, I mean, what does you do? Your brain catches fire and comes out your nose.
Except holiday.
and except weekends.
So there's 2 rules plus exceptions. I mean, that's a lot to digest when you're driving past at 55 miles an hour. So we need to be focusing on the future, forward focus, and that means innovation. So the last ideas are you a CIO or are you a CIO? The first CIO is Chief Information Officer. The second CIO is Chief Innovation Officer. That's what your job becomes. With all that data, with all that enablement of your people, you can help them to innovate. That's where value migrates to in the post-digitally disrupted world. That's your opportunity to become new and even more value-driven in your organizations, helping innovation. Do you like your new roles of CIOs? Didn't know that was going to happen. Came today and I left the meeting. I'm now Chief Innovation Officer. So the question is, are you part of the solution or part of the problem? Choose wisely. Game changer number 4, information moves to innovation. What we do with that information. In fact, if we want to start here, data becomes information and information becomes innovation. Last point, building a culture of change. We're trying to help our organizations move into the future, and we're trying to do that by giving them better visibility. And it's hard because there's so many things emerging we really don't know. So what we want to do is help our organizations to have this level of clarity. And guess what? We don't need to look back because we know we're not going that way. So it's forward focused. Organizations don't change, people do. So we've got to take our message of innovation, of change, down to the individual, because they're going to say, no, I can't change, or I can change. It's going to be binary, and we've got to help them with their belief system. Dick Brown, who at the time was CEO of EDS, said, people are not afraid of change, they fear the unknown. I think it's very profound. Because we often say, yeah, but we're scared of change. But why? Because we fear the unknown. Our job as CIOs, as Chief Innovation Officers, is to remove this and give them confidence in the known, that we have that vision, that long-term view of the roadway ahead of the future that we want to be able to deliver through cloud services to our organizations. So we've got to overcome constraint-based thinking, or multiple constraint-based thinking. Look at this. I'm glad I had my camera with me. I see things that I promise you just wonder, what were they designed for? Luckily, there is
The only way is not to.
how do you get out of this place? By the way, this was in a restaurant. This is the downstairs to go to the toilets, and that's the stairway going up. So somewhere there's a door you can use, which I didn't find, but I found a lot of doors you can't use, constraint-based thinking. The possibility mindset is a new mindset which enables new results. The elephant, if he doesn't challenge his beliefs, he can't change and break the chain and walk away. Same with us. It's our new mindset which will enable new results. We have a predictive mindset. We've been educated to have a predictive mindset. If we can just optimize the weight of the boat, if we can just reduce friction here, if we can make these joints just that little bit more low friction, we can train and give food supplements to our people. We can make incremental improvements everywhere and go a little bit faster. But is that a competition strategy for the new world of digitally disrupted chaos we're moving into? This makes sense in one situation and one situation only, and what is that? Flat water. If we're in flat water, then all this works. But guess what? We're not in flat water. We're in this roller coaster ride. What is the mindset, the type of employee, the type of equipment we need to give them to have to to be successful in this new, chaotic, turbulent, digitally disrupted world, I think it looks more like this. That's the way we need to be for the cloud. So if you're having business meetings and you're sitting down and you're doing Excel spreadsheets and long-term plans and it's all based on, you're going to struggle to get it right. It's the adaptability, it's this capability. Let's try that, we'll see if that works, if not we'll make a change here, but that's the way to move forward in the new world. Some stuff here which I'm not going to go into. If you'd like a copy of my presentation, please give me your business card, I'll be happy to send it to you. There's some stuff here around a mindset shift, going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. This is Lisbon. Can you believe this? They have there a centre for the unknown. I love it. I love it. Now, as you can imagine, it's a very large building. But that's the mindset we all have to have, because when we say we know the answer in this period of rapid disruptive change, we can only be wrong. If we say, someone said over here, I'm not sure, I don't know, that's the best way to stay mentally agile to find the right solution going forward. Adaptive thinking. I found some pictures which really tell the story very well. Here's a really intelligent form of adaptive thinking. This is the male version. This is the female version. Probably smarter. And this is the Australian version. Obviously the smartest. So game changer number 5, and we're nearly finished. Fixed mindset moves to a growth mindset, and there's only one person in this room who controls that, and that is you. You must be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi said. And that means moving from this predictive thinking in the high-speed rowing boat to the turbulent white waters of rafting. So, quick review, and we're all done for coffee break. Why shadow IT? Because employees are doing it anyway, we best make sure they do it through us. Focus on business outcomes. Become technology agnostic and business diagnostic. Focus on the business problem you're trying to solve, get really good handle on that, and let the technology follow. Create a hybrid mindset is all about having app store thinking. How do we deliver what they want from which cloud service provider, how, through, into, from Microsoft? The CIO of tomorrow is all about moving from information to innovation. That's where value migrates to in the new world. And the last one was about predictive to adaptive thinking. And if you can do all that, you will be competing to remain relevant to your organization, to your customers of your organization. Relevance is the key to long-term success. And the key is hybrid, and here's where you make the first step towards the beach. So take ownership of your cloud strategy. Be prepared for the future. Enable the future for your organization. And remember this, if it is to be, it is up to me. You must personally take that challenge. And if you get it right, you go to the beach. So, we're about to go to coffee. I want to wish you one thing, and one thing in massive quantities. And that is that you can feel the sun burning, the salt-encrusted sand on the tips of your toes as you enjoy a better life with the cloud from Intu and Microsoft.